Hello, welcome back to WD18, the Watford fan channel. Welcome to another video. Welcome to another match preview. Last time it finished Watford 3, Aston Villa 2. We're hoping for another win this weekend at the Amex. Saturday, 5:30 kickoff on Sky Sports. I'm going to be there. Sam's going to be there. It's going to be a great, great day. Now, let's introduce everyone on the match preview. First off, we've got Mr. Sam Yuko. Sam, different destination today. What's
So I'm away at the moment with my family. We're in a forest up north somewhere. It's quite nice. It's been good to get away. Obviously, would much rather be out the country, but to make do with what we've got in these times. And I mean, except that it's a privilege to be away in the first place. But don't worry, I am back tomorrow, straight to Brighton on Saturday morning. Can't wait. Will be absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely superb. We've got plenty of content on the way here on WD18 ahead of this weekend's game. It is a 5:30 kickoff, isn't it, Sam? I've got that right.
Yeah, it is a 5:30. I don't mind that because I'm heading up early and spending the day in Brighton. So it's a good away day. It's one that you want to have. It's a bit annoying though. I read that it's going to be raining all day, and you want the sun out in Brighton. So it'll still be a good one.
You know, one man who knows all about Brighton away in 2014-15. It's just a Hall Exchange.
Mate, I'm good. I've just thinking about that win, thinking about that, that performance in that 14-15 year. That was the last time we actually beat Brighton at the Amex. And to think we've been in the Prem for all that long, we never actually beaten them there. So, I'm listening. I'm not going to be at the game. So I won't be there for the away day limbs and all that. So I'll be watching it, all curled up on the sofa, trying not to scream every time they mention a Watfordism on Sky. But it is what it is, and it's a game that I think a lot of people are looking forward to now for the right reasons. I think having seen what happened last Saturday, and the whole the incredible day back at Vicarage Road, back with the fans. So much has been made of it, but it was a great day and one that I'll possibly never forget for different reasons. We talk about the performance and everything, but I think I do want to touch on this. The tribute to West Hearts, to Watford General, was just. I honestly watching all the doctors, the nurses making their way around, and the rookery and the entirety of the stadium clapping. That brought a tear to my eye. That was genuinely so moving. I think that the club did so well with all that. So I shout out to that as well. But
I think
back. We are.
Yeah, just on that, Shane, for me, I mean, I touched on this in the match reaction, but obviously the result was absolutely brilliant, but for me it was very much secondary to have the club executed it as a whole. The only thing they could have worked on were the queues outside the stadium with the mobile tickets, but I suppose that will come with time. But just the whole montage beforehand of everyone who unfortunately passed away with COVID, and the NHS lap of honour, and obviously incredible atmosphere, one of the best I've ever been in. Absolute carnage, particularly when Cucho scored. Just an absolutely terrific day where I think the result was very much secondary.
Yeah, watching it back on Match of the Day, actually, I remember seeing Dennis's goal, and hearing someone's got the roar from the crowd when that goes in. You missed that in the moment. It was just superb. And on the topic of the e-tickets and all that stuff, I actually managed to get in okay. I will just say as a bit of consumer advice, as we are trying to help out other fans here, I actually had to take off my phone case to actually scan, because before it didn't actually scan without the actual hard back of my. So I had to take it off and then it scanned okay. And I know some people had cards, and some of those didn't work either. So yeah, work to be done.
I only found out in the queue that you could. We've just spent the first 5 minutes talking about season tickets. I didn't know that you could actually demand a physical copy.
Apparently you could. Yeah, I didn't know that. And I was thinking about doing that until I heard from people that they couldn't get in with that either. So I was like, all right, fine, I might as well stick with what I've got. Really. I actually did check my season card. I actually did check I checked my season ticket online today, and it has already updated for Wolves. So that's a good sign. I'm happy with that. But I'll be back next week with even more consumer advice as to how we can make this better.
No, well said from the lads on the whole the NHS tribute from the club. Absolutely superb. And as Shane says, it got me very emotional. Look, it's one of those moments that we mentioned in the match reaction where you'll remember that day for a long, long time. And I think we'll look back on this in the 10 years. I think the club, again, executed absolutely perfectly. But today we're going to be looking ahead to Brighton on Saturday. We started the Premier League campaign with a win. Fingers crossed we could follow up with another win. Before we do get into the thoughts of Sam and Shane and myself, please do leave a like on the video if you would go on to enjoy. Of course, comment down below your thoughts of the live chat in the comment section if you're watching this back. Make sure you do go and follow Shano. He hasn't got his at there. Do you want me to change it, Shano? I could change
go
it
on, mate. Yeah.
Hornet Shane. This is the, I feel like I'm a Monday night.
Infamous at.
Midway through. So make sure you do go follow Sam and Shane on socials, and the links are in the description as well. And yeah, thank you very much for joining us today. And loads of you getting involved as well, which is absolutely fantastic. So Sam, you know what? We touched on the tributes from Watford and the whole match day, but just focusing on the pitch for the moment, what was the most pleasing aspect of Watford's performance and Watford's win last weekend?
I think that there was a clear game plan that was executed absolutely perfectly. That obviously runs down from Xisco Munoz and his coaching staff right down to the players who appeared to listen every single instruction to the T. I don't think we can look too much into those last, 15, 20 minutes where we looked a bit out of shape. A couple of players went off with small knocks. Uri Kuka, we'll talk about that, is now out for a couple of weeks. Emmanuel Dennis came off with cramp. So we can't really look too much into those last 15, 20 minutes, particularly because we won the game itself. But on the whole, I thought the players showed real maturity in terms of listening and executing Xisco Munoz's game plan. And I think that's something really pleasing, because in different games this season, we're going to have to set up differently. And if these players are showing that they're adaptable in games and at the start of games, then, it stands us in good stead for the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And Shano, there's a comment here from Freddie who said the most pleasing thing was the desire and speed of the attack. Someone who sits in the rookery, who got a great view of that Cucho goal. Just how excited were you, as a fan in general, with Watford's performance last Saturday? Because you would have had one of the best seats in the house.
Oh, mate, do you know something? It was, I think it's been echoed by so many people, just someone to come on as they did, for, let's be honest, the first start, their debut in the Premier League, to have even the audacity to try something like that, bear in mind, he was going up against Emi Martinez, who had a great season last year, has had a good preseason at the Copa America and all that. Oh, it was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And that's, and ultimately, look, it's those kind of moments for me that really kind of made the game. Everyone was in a great mood. We were 2-0 up, needing to maybe get that third goal, make things safe. And, I celebrate goals however they come, but some are just incredibly special, aren't they? And that was one of those. And a lot of people focused on Uri Kucha as one of the standouts of the game. I thought Kucha was superb as well. I think just for him to come on, be up to speed, look like he's been in this team for about the 4 seasons that we've actually had him for. You wouldn't think this is a guy who's gone off and played elsewhere. You'd think he'd been a part of our attack for that amount of time. Dennis was a real surprise. I'll be honest with you, when I saw the team sheet, when I saw who we'd put out, I wasn't too sure. Semmer on the left and Dennis in the middle. I wasn't too sure about that. I expected Kucha to start, if I was being honest, and I also expected Troy to start down the middle. So to not see 2 of those, I thought, okay, well, this is going to be interesting. Dennis, look, we've got a lot of competition for that forward role, and if we're being brutally honest about it, Dennis has laid down a huge marker, isn't he? Not just with his goal, his overall link play with Sarr, down the right-hand side, pushing the ball out to Sarr, looking for each other. A lot of people have called it the next level Dini Igalo. It's obvious, isn't it? Because Igalo was Nigerian, Dennis Nigerian. And his performance actually reminded me a lot of Igalo. Kind of really dug in there, looked lively, he added a scoop to his game. I think he'd make it, even better. Obviously, I'm biased, but look, he did everything that he had to do. And I think, look, Dennis, the midfield, backman even, all got a huge mention over the weekend. For the one guy who I really want to focus on, though, is Ismail Assar, the guy who got the second goal, because he probably shouldn't even be here, to be quite honest with you. He could have left last summer. We would have had no complaints about that.
I thought Shane, thoughts and prayers with Matt Target. Thoughts and prayers with Matt Target.
Do you know what? In a match of the day analysis, if you're leaving Ian Wright speechless, if Ian Wright is calling the right back, my brother, I don't know what happened to him. His analysis was brilliant. Matt Target was taken off at half time. Sarr's done that before, though. I remember a couple of seasons ago when Spurs came to Vicarage Road, Japhet Tanganga. When he was starting, I think he was obviously quite young. He was starting out at left back there. Sarr was getting past him. We were attacking the rookery. I think I remember first half I was off my seat, thinking that Sarr was actually going to produce, and he got very close to him. Tanganga at one point absolutely wiped him out. He was on a yellow card, struggling. I remember him just looking around like at Vertonghen and Alderweireld, being like, what am I going to do? And he was constantly getting pushed out there as well. Go out there, you need to attack him. You need to block him off. There are sixes and sevens. He didn't want the ball. Ever since that Sarr charging at him, like it's absolutely crazy. But listen, Sarr maybe shouldn't even be here, but he has. He's dug in. He looks physically stronger as well. I've noticed that. He's been working in the gym. And look, he's going to be such an electric player for us. I think we even said it as well, didn't we, in our pre-season? This is one player that's going to set this team apart. It's going to be Sarr. He is still our superstar. Every time he got forward, first half more than second half. I think second half, target being taken off. They kind of switched things a little bit at the back. First half, had that left back on toast all half long. And ultimately, if you've done well, because your biggest competitor for the day has now been taken off. So lots of great performances, but the attacking, in particular, the pace in which we kind of got up the field was just superb as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sam, I wanted to discuss someone who's been in the Watford headlines this week. That's Juraj Kucka, who actually only realised after the game that he has on the back of his shirt Kuko, which is going to be confusing with Cucho. So we need to look out for that.
And we've got Kiko as well. We got Kuko, Cucho, Kiko.
Yeah. Jordan says in the comments, I think Kuchka will be a hidden gem, absolute brute. Look, Sam, we mentioned it on the match reaction. We've got to give a huge shout out. He looks like, look, from what we're reading, he's not going to be available for Brighton. A minor thigh injury. Adam Leventhal says he's out for 10 days, which is obviously a lot better than what Footy Insider reporting, which is around 3 months. So thank you for that. But you know what, Sam? Just the reaction reflects how well Juraj played on his debut. Just a word on him. I mean, what aspects of his game did you really caught your eye in his debut?
Well, what was really surprising is, as someone mentioned, I mean, the guy is absolutely massive, and he's not someone you'd really picture as being so elegant and composed on the ball as he was. But I think Watford on Twitter released like a 2-minute highlight reel of Kucka's moments, and on the ball he just looks so composed. And I think something we've missed is someone we've missed in the middle of the park is someone who can snap into challenge but get straight up and carry the ball with him. And I feel like he did that so well. And that's going to be so important in terms of recycling the ball, sustaining attacks, and someone who can just, keep the ball going forward. So that's what really impressed me. And I think he is going to be a big loss for the Brighton game. But as you say, I think it's better than the 3 months that we all feared at the start. And we will talk about it, but I think we've got plenty of replacements in there who can do, I don't know about just as good of a job as Kucka, but there are options in there.
Yeah, for sure. Great comment here. Defends brilliantly and drives the ball forward. What a player. I've never seen, in recent times, Shano, a reaction to a player just quite like this at the moment. He's played one game. I think potentially, I underestimated him. I think, look, this is a guy who's played over 80 times for Slovakia next to in the midfield with Marek Hamsik. Like he's got pedigree. And I think maybe because he hasn't done it in the Premier League before, is a little bit naive in that respect. But from what you've seen, the combination of experience, his attacking flair, actually, maybe not on the eye, you would think that with the haircut and the tattoos, you think he's a really hard guy smashing tackles, which he is. But technically as well, really composed on the ball. Balance was good. He just linked up the play brilliantly. But what did you make of him on Saturday, Shona?
First of all, I can't believe the man's 34 years old. Like, that's got to be a misprint, isn't it? Surely. Like, in documentation, it's got to have actually said 24 and not 34. Like, someone got the numbers muddled up somewhere. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, I genuinely couldn't look. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not one of those guys that looks at all these scouting websites and what players are like and all that sort of stuff. I had no idea. The minute I saw the 34-year-old, I thought he'd be like Carlos Sanchez-esque, kind of coming off the bench, doing the job for us. I was a little bit nervous to see him start on Saturday. Wasn't too sure, but he was just superb. And I think he's someone who's going to thrive off the rookery being the rookery. I say that so blasely. No, the entire the entirety of Vicarage Road being full. So I think every time, that's one thing that I think our players in this team have missed. The encouragement from the fans. Every time he crunched into attack, or, the ooh, when he made that big challenge in the middle and looked a bit risky. You kind of want to see that, snapping into challenges, winning the ball back, sprinting a little bit more, trying to kind of win back possession for us, putting us back on the counter. Again, that's what you really want to see from him. And I think at times throughout that game, him and Tebo as well, I want to give a shout out to him in case he goes missing, because, we've got an option to buy on that man. I'll be paying up for him now. To be honest with you, now is the time for him, because Tebo, I think him and Kuchka had a fantastic game in the midfield. Two players that have never actually played Premier League football. I think Stoke actually signed him when they're in the Championship. So for those guys to come in, kind of pretty much running straight from the off, it's such a huge encouragement for us. And I think we look overall at this transfer window. A lot of people maybe are not particularly upbeat about the kind of players that we've signed, but actually deep down, I think we kind of look at it. We've had a pretty good transfer window. I think we've gone kind of behind the scenes of it, kind of gone quite quiet, gone under the radar in all of that. And I think that kind of helps with some of our performances as well. All right, we won on Saturday, and I think that got a lot of people's attentions up. I'm not sure I know for a fact I was speaking to a couple of Villa fans on the Sunday, and they actually said to me, I wasn't expecting to turn up as you guys did. And they obviously weren't sure, the first back, was that an extra motive? Of course it was, but just how I think the contrast was how lost Villa looked at times compared to how put together we looked. Every time we went forward in that first half, every time Sar got the ball running down that wing, every time Sema got the ball on the left, you thought we were going to create something. It was going to come. And that was ultimately driven by our midfielders, who I thought were both absolutely fantastic. It's such a shame that he's now injured. He can't now carry on. He can't now carry on with that bounce into next week. But we've got options now, haven't we, in that midfield area? We've got maybe one other person I could potentially think of that could come in. But the signs are very good. Let's hope it's not as bad as the 3 months, which was just absurd. And I almost cried when I saw that. But, to be told that it's not true, it was, again, like a new signing, frankly. Because if he was out for 3 months, then we really are in a small spot of bother.
Yeah, agreed, Shano. And look, it kind of reaffirms Watford's interest in Ozan Tufan. I thought that was the reason we were trying to buy him, was because Kuchka was out for that long. But look, that looks like a really good signing as well, which we'll get onto. I've seen a couple of Fenerbahce fans are in the comment section leaving their thoughts on Ozan Tufan. So big shout out to everyone who's new watching here on WD18. Make sure you do leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. Massively appreciated it. And also, if you know people who are Watford fans, want to get involved with the channel, even if they're not Watford fans, family, friends, share the channel.
Fenerbahce fans as well now.
Fenerbahce fans. You know what, Sam? That segues nicely onto some of the team news. I'll just go through it to update everyone. So as Shane and Sam mentioned correctly, Juraj Kucka has a minor thigh muscle injury. Will be out for around 10 days to 2 weeks, according to Adam Leventhal. Kiko and King are back fit, according to the official club website. João Pedro is continuing his recovery following a knee injury in pre-season and is going to be back on the pitches next week. And Chalobah still has an illness, so he won't be involved this Saturday. And just on a Brighton side of things, Graham Potter has confirmed Brighton is still without Lamptey, Veltman, Dan Burn and Danny Welbeck for Saturday's game. So with that news, Sam, looking at the Juraj Kucka news, he won't be available on Saturday. In the midfield three, you'd probably look to keep Peter Etebo and Tom Cleverley. Who moves into that void that Kucka has left?
It's a really difficult one, because I feel like Kucka is one of our only players who can do that sort of role. What he did against Aston Villa, I think, particularly as an away game. I mean, we spoke about this in the season preview. I feel like we will set up differently. I think it will be a 4-3-3 simply for how good it was, but I think it'll be a different sort of 4-3-3. My gut feeling tells me it will be, it's a toss-up between Imran Louza and Dan Gosling. For some reason, my gut says he'll go with Dan Gosling because that's what he knows and that's what he trusts. I did think that Gosling would play last week, but I did have a strong feeling he would go with Cathcart, Ken Sema, and I got those right simply because he does trust those players and knows what he's going to get. And it wouldn't shock me if he goes with that same sort of logic in terms of using Dan Gosling instead of Juraj Kucka on Saturday. But I think it wouldn't shock me either if we see Imran Louza. But I'm seeing some comments as well. Domingos Quina is he's a forgotten man, and no mention of him on the team news as well. Despite him supposedly being injured last week, that means he's off as well, which is a real shame. I'm not too sure on that, but I do think it will be between Gosling and Loser.
Shane, I'll throw it over to you. Mike says in the comments he'd go for Cleverley, Etebo and Loser. Clevs and Etebo playing slightly deeper, allowing Loser to play the number 8. Thoughts?
I will say 2 things on that. I think Keena is personally. I think he is off. I think he's been linked with Bournemouth, isn't he, on like a loan move or something. I think I've seen something like that. The fact that he's not mentioned alongside the other, who in the midfield, who've not been mentioned in our team. Keena is a part of the squad. He's part of our actual squad. They've not been mentioned. I assume it's because they're looking for moves elsewhere. The thing is I really want to see Loser play on Saturday, but I completely agree with Sam. I can just see it being Gosling. I could see sitting at 4:30 on Saturday, waiting to find the team who's very fresh in the midfield. I know what, I want to see. I've kind of sighted up in my mind. Yeah, Loser. This is going to be his chance now. There's an injury. Can he kind of put himself in there? I think it might be Dan Gosling. Why? Because I think Xisco's the kind of man that I think will maybe try and potentially give trust to some of the players that were within our promotion squad. I think that's why he started Ken Semmer on Saturday, as in like a bit of loyalty to, you know what? Yeah, we've signed players, but Ken was a man who started out on the left. Yeah, he helped us get promotion. And I just think it will be Dan Gosling in that midfield. If you want an honest opinion on it, I'd love to see a Loser. And I think it'd be the right call for him to start. But I think if I'm thinking about what we want, how we're going to line up, I think he would just go with Gosling for that little bit of extra experience in there. Maybe not chucking Loser in for his first game as an away day. Maybe giving him a chance at the Vic in front of a home support in the same way someone like Etebo got. I think I can see something very similar to that.
Yeah. I mean, the slight concern with me with Gosling, just from what I saw against Villa, I thought Sammy maybe is a bit harsh, but a little bit off the pace. I thought when we came on.
I don't think you can. I can understand why you're saying that, Jacob. I can understand why fans would be frustrated with that, simply because I feel like when Gosling came on, the shape was completely gone in the midfield, and that's where the holes came in. That's where Villa started to create more things. But it was a game that was, I'd say, difficult to adapt to the pace too. It was a game where, first day of the season as well, where, players are still getting fully up to speed. So I wouldn't read too much into it, but I can understand why fans were frustrated with Dan Gosling. But I just feel like perhaps from the start, it's the sort of option that Xisco would go for. But you have to bear in mind as well that certain players who aren't fully up to speed, say Imran Loser isn't fully up to speed. We've got a game on Tuesday night against Crystal Palace where we'll be using that, I imagine, to see the likes of Imran Loser, Ashley Fletcher. I can't remember other names off the top of my head, but I imagine a lot of the players who won't play on Saturday will play on Tuesday night. So it won't be too long before we see Imran Loser, and that's why I think Xisco will go with what he knows and trusts in the middle with Dan Gosling.
Sam, on the couple of people, a couple of players that are coming back with Kiko and King, do any of those two go back into the lineup for you?
Yeah.
Saturday?
Yeah, Feminir, I think, is the one who goes straight back in there. Cathcart, I think, did a really, really good job. But I think that's the main word. He did a job in there. I thought, it's a good option to have now that we know Craig Cathcart. If we are short a right back, he can fill in there. And and Tufan as well, but supposedly can fill in at right back as well. So it's a good thing to know that we have Craig Cathcart sitting in there. But Feminir, I think, just offers us something completely different. In terms of, imagine what the damage Sarr did by himself on that right hand side. Imagine what he'll do with Kiko as well. I've seen a couple of people on Twitter as well say that they're worried that perhaps Trossard might have some space. Oh, am I back there? Yeah, sorry about that. I think. Sorry about that.
The Kiko Sarr partnership was left on that cliffhanger.
Yeah, sorry, it's the holiday Wi-Fi. I mean, the commitment to the channel never dies. I'm always in there. Yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, can't leave too much space in behind for Trossard. So some fans are saying play Cathcart in there, but I think the quality Kiko offers going forward outweighs that, and he has to start for me.
Shana, would you bring Kiko back in? I personally would.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's just such a shame to not have him back at on Saturday. But he's got to start. The one question mark I had on Saturday was I wasn't sure what was up with Jeremy Ngakia as to why he didn't start a right back ahead of Cathcart. I wasn't too sure about that. I assumed it was an injury or match fitness or something like that. But look, Craig proved that he could do a job. But I would very much argue that he's last resort, really. We need a right back in there. I think Kiko is number one. We want to hope that he stays fit throughout the season, because I think, as Sam kind of alluded to, his link-up play with our last season was just electric. I mean, how many goals, how many counter-attacks on that right-hand side throughout last season? It was a scary amount. And, with Sar's pace, with Kiko's kind of unknown quantities in regards to how they kind of link up, and with the amount of injuries that Brighton have got, especially in that left-back position. I don't think Dan Burn's actually fit for the game, who the man himself is a man mountain. And I think kind of helps Sar in some respects as well, because if you've got someone climbing all over you, then, it will be a slightly game. I think, look, we placed Trent when we played Brighton to kind of get out into backs and get out the back. Kind of going behind them now is what we kind of got to try. And look, I think we'll ultimately aim to succeed, but for that to happen, it just helps to have keep back there.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on really tactically, Sam. Just looking at Saturday. Obviously, Brighton got a really good result away at Turf Moor, 1-0 down, and then they pulled it back with 2 Graham Potter substitutions. Really good win for them, to be fair, away from home against a difficult Burnley team. Look, where do you think it'll be won on Saturday? Is it as simple as keeping it tight for the first half an hour and then growing into the game, or is it a bit more complex than that?
Yeah, I think you have to be realistic with the Premier League, with the quality of the teams in there, including Brighton, who have shown they're a threat going forward. With I don't know how much you can read into numbers like XG and everything, but their XG last season was off the scale, and they just didn't score too many goals. But it will be a difficult game, and I think for me it's about keeping it tight, getting to 60, 70 minutes, bringing on someone like Cucho to stretch the game and try and nick it towards the end. I think it'll be a really tight and scrappy game. But as Lou Warnes is saying here in the chat, I always said that this game, I feel like, will be about utilising the fullbacks and getting forward with the likes of Sarr and Sema, or whoever's playing on the left-hand side, because the Brighton fullbacks will either be playing out of position or they're slow without Lamptey or Dan Burn. So it's going to be important that we utilise, our wingers in this game and hopefully get forward and score a couple of goals.
Yeah, as Sam says, Shano, the one key strength that I think Watford have is on the break. I think we're set up to be a counter-attacking side, particularly with the pace, as Sam says, with Dennis, with Sarr, Cucho coming off the bench against tired legs, obviously Ken Sema as well. Do you think what's the best way we attack Brighton? Do you think is it simply just Dennis and Sarr again using that pace in behind, as someone said in the comment section? Dennis's kind of athleticism might be an advantage against the likes of Dunk. Is that the way we go at Brighton on Saturday, do you think?
Yeah. I think that's absolutely the way to go. I think maybe the one change I would make, I don't know, I think we say, go on. What's the laughing about? I don't know what the laughing about.
Your delivery made me laugh. Your delivery made me laugh, Shano.
Oh, right, okay. No, it's just, I think it's exactly the way to go. No, it's just, it's one of those things for me. Look, I think I was initially opposed to starting really against Villa. I personally, if I was to pick the team, I'd be starting Cucho straight from the off. Go at them. Put that pace up against them. They're going to be a weakened side. This Brighton team doesn't have Lamptey at right back. It doesn't have Dan Burn at left back. Get the pace. Get the goal. Let's be quite clear. We were 2-0 up at half time, and we absolutely, in hindsight, the game was almost won pretty much at half time. We just stunned them with the pace, stunned them with the attacking prowess, really, that we had moving forward. I'd go with Cucho on the left hand side, give them something to think about instantly. He's even said, hasn't he, in his post-match interviews since the game, that he enjoys cutting in off the left-hand side. He was told by Cisco to do so. Can you imagine him scoring another goal like that in front of the away supporters? Like, can you seriously imagine the limbs when that happens? And that's why I just think I wouldn't want to bring Cucho on if we're winning the game, because I just don't think. I think we struggle a little bit there. He kind of came into his own when we were up in the game, coming on, nothing to lose. It's an absolute crackerjack, and we all end up strangling the people that sit next to us, right? For me, he's got to start on Saturday. I also think he'll kind of be pushing for that as well. Hang on a minute, I've got everyone off their seats. I've put in such a great debut performance. I think he'd be a little bit miffed if he's not starting the game, and I would be a bit miffed for him as well. What more can I do? Is what he'll probably be saying. That's nothing against Ken. Look, listen, Ken's a great guy, but I think when you've got Cucho, if someone's electric as him, who let's be honest, has set his first game alight, and I personally think he will start. And I think in regards to Dennis, I think that's the way to kind of go, using his pace, using his kind of pretty hold up play, isn't it? He's got them. That's something that we've maybe missed from some of our down. We had it with Prime Troy back in the day, but that was numbers ago now. Dennis showed exactly what he can do. He's got a great link-up play with Star. Give him Cucho on the left-hand side. Give him another option out there as well. And I think pace is the way forward. I think if we get an advantage we're able to get an early goal, I just have a feeling that we could, if the conditions allow. I know it's a tough away game. I've just got this confidence though in that front three. And if need be, if we want to kind of slow down, if we want to kind of, rest some of those three kind of players up there, then we've got options off the bench as well. We need to change things up. So we've now got such a big squad. We spoke about someone like Ashley Fletcher didn't get any minutes on Saturday, for example. You got Troy as well, who came on and did his bit. But if we need to change things up, we've got the options there. But I think from the off, we've got to be positive, we've got to attack them. 3 up front, Cucho on the left, Star on the right, and Dennis down the middle.
Sam, I just wanted to go a bit deeper on that Cucho Semi debate, because I saw a couple of tweets from yourself today about that. We've discussed it before on the channel, myself, you and Shane, about how Cucho might be better as an impact sub against tired legs. We likened it to kind of Grealish in the England setup, the way he wasn't used from the start, but when he came on against tired defenders, he was creating chances. Obviously, that Germany game was the prime example. With Cucho, as we saw the other day, when he came off the bench as an impact play, produced the worldie, and I thought he looked really good off the left-hand side. Maybe fizzled out a little bit straight down the middle as kind of the number 9. So how do you... Well, 2 questions. If you were Xisco Munoz, who would you play on the left? And then number 2, who do you think he will play on the left-hand side?
I think what I would do is Ken Sema, and I think what Xisco Munoz would do is Ken Sema. I think Cucho Hernandez is the more attractive player to play. I completely agree with that. I think defensively, according to stats, he's better than Ken Sema as well. But I just feel like, as you say, he's the player that when we keep it tight, that we can bring him on against tired legs, the likes of Pascal Gross right back. I think he'll play, and I don't even know he'll play left back for them. Maybe Webster, or I don't know.
I think Gross filled in at left back against Burnley.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
So versus Gross, that is a tasty.
Exactly, and I feel like Cucho's someone that we can bring off the bench with pace if we keep it tight for the first 60, 70 minutes. And hopefully absolutely obliterate a tied defence who are playing out of position. So for me, at least, I'd bring Cucho off the bench. I know a lot of fans, most fans will disagree with me with that, but it's not a case that I trust Ken Sema more. It's just that we know what we're going to get with Ken, and I think it's still too much of a risk to bring Cucho in from the start.
I'll tell you what, before we get on some transfer news, we're just going to have a little look through your comments. I'll fire your thoughts over to the lads. Jack says, the only changes, Shane, this one's to you, only changes we should be making is Loser for Kuchka and Cucho for Sema. I wouldn't be particularly mad at Sierra starting either. I mean, that is another player who...
I've forgotten about him. Yeah.
Sierra, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot.
Probably our best centre-back is not even playing at the moment.
Yeah. I feel quite bad that I've not even the Chilean Maldini in this chat. I apologise from Chile. I've not been, I promise. It is one of those things whereby you don't really want to tinker with the defence too much. I think the one change I would absolutely make is Kiko coming in. Trust was good. I thought against Villa. I thought Cabasele was awesome as well. Like that tackle he made, I think, on Danny Ings in the first half before Danny was about to pull the trigger. I mean, he was literally about to shoot there, and that tackle was superb. That's what Cabasele can do, though. When he's in the right frame of mind, when he's not thinking recklessly, that's what he can do. And we know that's what's so frustrating sometimes with Cabasele. more than aware of his ability. Sometimes he just doesn't show it, or he has what I call a Cabasé moment, where he just doesn't, where he loses track of everything, and blood rushes to the head or something. But listen, look, I don't think you can do much with our back line. It would be a different case had we lost Saturday. You could maybe say, all right, okay, well, we've got these players coming back. I think it'd be harsh, I think, on either of the centre-backs if they were dropped. Sirialta, he is our best centre-back, and he will absolutely get his job. I think whilst we've got one win, you tinker with the defence. I think it's one of those golden rules, isn't it, of the starting 11s. Unless there's an injury, unless there's like a big player coming back, in our case, Kiko, you don't change things up in the back line.
Yeah. That great comment here. Well, great question, rather. I'm going to fire this one over to you, Sam. A bit of a tough one. But thoughts on sort of 80 million price tag for us to even consider selling to Spurs? Now, it's Dharmesh Sheath at Sky Sports. Of course, there's been links with the Sarr making a move to Liverpool. There was also rumours, I don't know where these came from, that he requested to leave or was unhappy at Watford. Number one, that was completely kind of destroyed by Mr. Lord Leventhal, saying that he's happy to stay at this stage in his career. And Ryan Gray from the Watford Observer also confirmed that as well. And then Sky Sports also confirmed that. But look, we'll still see articles online saying Sarr wants to leave. But there we go. Sam, 80 million price tag slapped on Ismaila Sarr according to Dharmesh Sheath at Sky Sports. Is that... I guess that's what he's worth to Watford, isn't it? I think that's fair.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what you have to specify, is that that's what he's worth to Watford. I think an example that I used was people going on about City, Jack paying 100 million for Jack Grealish, or I'm trying to think of other examples. But the fact is, Jack Grealish is worth 100 million to Aston Villa. Even if he's not a £100 million player, Aston Villa were going to turn around and say he's worth 100 million to us. If you want that, if you want to offer that, then take him. And it's the same situation as Sarr, because if we're being realistic in terms of him as a player, he's not worth more than 30, 40, 50 million. But to Watford,
I think around the 50 million ballpark, especially with his age, 23 years of age. That's my personal opinion. I still think in 23.
I think his age is a big factor in there, and I feel like there's room for him to grow still, and with his age, he can still. So I can see where you're coming from there. But in terms of this, 2 weeks left of the transfer window, 80 million is what he's worth to Watford. And if an offer comes in like that, then happily we'll negotiate, because that's ridiculous money for a club like Watford to get for a player like Ismaila Sarr. I don't think we will get an offer like that, but that's what he's worth to us, and I feel like that's only fair at this point.
Well, exactly, Shane. I'll just chuck it over to you. I saw your reaction, kind of a little wry smile on screen.
Oh boy!
What have you made of all the rumours surrounding Ismaila? Because it just feels like every single window it's going to rumble on. Particularly last season when we were in the Championship, and you see the same reports getting regurgitated constantly about him. Yeah. And I'm just glad that the most reliable Watford sources have basically confirmed that it's complete rubbish. But 80 million price tag, is that a fair reflection, do you think, as Sam said?
Yeah, I think it is. I'm not. Look, I wasn't very happy, I'll be honest, with this whole estate. I saw this, I think, at lunchtime today, and I thought I was through there, and I think it was like a Liverpool source, was it Empire of the Cop, or some one of their kind of big fanzines or big websites was saying it. The comments of Sarr's not an 80 million player. Like, are you all talking rubbish or something? Like, we're not saying he is. That's what he's worth to us. Do you not get that? Like, it's a bit like Watford worrying about, I don't know, Mohamed Salah. Salah's worth 120 million pounds. Well, who's not worth that? Well, he is to Liverpool. Like, I don't understand that. And for me, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't really like the fact that the club came out and said how much that they would be willing for that 80 million pound. Now, what if someone goes off and pays? What if Liverpool look at that and think, yeah, we afford that? Yeah, you know what? We really like him. We've had tabs on him for ages. He's a player that we've scouted for a long time. Gino, 80 million pounds. Here we go. Then what happens? We've lost one of our best players. So soon as this transfer losing, any kind of, we saw it on Saturday. He is our difference maker. I said this even when the rumour started off weeks ago. If we want to survive in this division, Star is going to be key to that and moving forward in our team. He's the man that will question every single fullback's ability, as he did on Saturday with Matt Targett. You know, the first game out, and he's taken and the opposition have taken left back. Right, that's the quality of this guy. Right, for me, I wouldn't have put a price on him. As Joe has just said there, Sarri priceless. He is absolutely priceless. You know, I don't know. I'm all of a sudden I was all right at the start of the season. Everything I was calm with Sarr. When all some of those reports there, even the rubbishing of 80 minutes, something like that, it's got the butt going again. It's going to be I be on Sarr watch on deadline day, like up until deadline day, until the window is shut, because I'm so nervous about it. I'm nervous about him potentially being swayed by it. I know he's happy. The question still remains for the ballpark region. What then happens? And that's where my worry kind of lies. But as Joe says, he's absolutely, and I think he comes between us staying up. Now, started off well. Is with the ability with the Sarr, I don't think there are, and that's why he's so crucial for us.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting just to see if there's. Well, I don't think there'll be any more developments on it. Personally, I think he'll be staying come the end of the window. I'm very confident that he'll be here, and I think the big thing is that he wants to be here. From what we're reading as well, I think at this stage in his career, 23 years of age, he's guaranteed regular Premier League football at a very good football club. I think it just makes sense for him not to move at this point. But look, as Lou Warnes mentions, he makes a really good comment about kind of, you know, we are a selling club. If Sarr leaves, we are a selling club. We'll just get another winger like we did with Jerry Richarlison. We shouldn't be afraid to sell players. I just think it's probably a time and place, isn't it, of when you do sell them. And I think we all know there's maybe kind of a underlying feeling that with Sarr probably will move on next season, depending on how well we do. But I think he'll be here for this season, which is absolutely amazing. You know what? Let's move on to some transfer news. Sam, I'm going to throw it over to you, as we've got a number of Fenerbahce fans watching today. Big news coming out of Watford, officially confirmed. Here we go. Ozan Tufan is joining from Fenerbahce on loan with an option to buy, rumoured to be around £6 million or €7.5 million. It's all gone through. Turkish international, play for Turkey at Euro 2020. Of course, they didn't do too well, but from what we're reading it from Fenerbahce fans, this is a guy who can play in a deep lying role, can play in a number 8, and is partial to the odd worldie as well. Sam, first of all, what was your initial reaction to the business going through today? It happened very quickly, actually.
He scored some of the goals he scored, absolutely beautiful. Imagine we see those towards the Rookery, the reaction. I mean, he's the sort of player, right? I can just tell already. You look at the cult hero status that Juraj Kucka's got after literally one game at Watford. He's the sort of player I could just see having that as well. And he also brings a massive fan base over with him from Turkey as well, which is absolutely brilliant for the club's growth as well. I think my reaction to it was not surprised. We've been looking at midfielders a lot this window. Obviously, we've brought in quite a few, and there's uncertainty over a couple of names. We're not going into that again. I'm sorry, we're not going into that again. But there's uncertainty that is still going on this week with a few names, and we need to bring in replacements for them. So it doesn't surprise me at all, and I have really high hopes from what we've been reading from Turkish fans and Fenerbahce fans.
Yeah, great comment here from It's Finners. Tufan, great appointment. He thinks it fills the void that we identified in Gosling's sub versus Villa. Losers still to come into the side as well. Good signs. And Anthony Birdseye, great comment here. Over 60 caps for Turkey. Other Premier League clubs sniffing around. We know Everton, Crystal Palace, some clubs that were interested. I think he was linked with
Leicester as well, I think.
Leicester City. Like, he's been linked with the move to the Premier League for a long time. Since he moved to Fenerbahce in 2015, and a financially responsible deal with an option to buy depending on how well this loan goes. So, Shane, for you, did you just see it as a no-brainer with Ozan Tufan?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, even the clubs that he was linked with as well, and the fact that he's chosen Watford, the fact that he's chosen to commit himself to Watford is only a great thing. I'm not going to lie, I don't know too much about him, but I know the fact that he plays for Fenerbahce. I know that from a lot of Fenerbahce fans call him the Turkish Pogba. And judging by what I saw from Pogba on Saturday, that's a good thing. So it's good. And I can't wait for a few weeks' time when we finish the game. We've won 2-0 and we've got Tufan and Sirial on the sheet, and our chat is full of Chilean fans, Turkish fans, all kind of getting involved. We're cheering on their own cult heroes within our team. I mean, look, listen, he brings a big supporters base with him. He's got a good reputation. Some of the goals are outrageous. He pops a couple of those in the rookery end, and I'm going to be on the pitch in my own piece of Ozan Tufan. That's just and he's been the Turkish captain. That's quite used, I think, as well. Got a lot of. We've spoken about leaders in this team. Trusty Kong at the back, who's the captain of the Nigerian national team. It's just another solid midfielder and solid leader, a solid man in the midfield. And I think our midfield's looking a lot better now. As Sam said, we're not going to mention those people that don't want to be here, even though we might do at some point. But it's another body in there. The midfield looks strong. Losers to come back in there as well. Players, listen, look, I know Dan Gosling, it didn't work out for him, when he came on against Villa, but he's still that experienced player. He still did the job for us last season, and he could still have a part to play in the wider squad this season. We've still got cup competitions we're going to be involved in, like on Tuesday night, potentially. But the midfield's looking good, and I think we have been linked with one other player. I think from Torino, a centre back. We were able to bring in that man, like Lysano, is a Brazilian guy. That would cap off for me a fantastic transfer window, and I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, and just on Lacano, as you mentioned, Shane, a little bit of an update on that one. Make sure you do go and listen to the latest episode of From the Rookery and with Adam Leventhal with his new feature on a Thursday, which is really, really good. As you guys send in your questions to Adam, he then answers them, and he did provide a little bit of an update on the Torino centre back, 23 years of age, Brazilian international. Lacano, he's not a target for Watford at this stage. There was rumours from Duncan Castle that we put in a €9 million bid for him. Sky Sports reports that we were about to put in a £7.5 million bid, that we were close to a deal. But from what Adam Leventhal said, 3 sources confirmed to him that Lacano is not a target for Watford at this stage. That doesn't mean that centre-back is going to be ruled out, Sam, and that's certainly one area that we've been linked with over the last couple of days. Do you think that's an area we do need to address before the end of the window?
I don't think it'll do us any harm to sign one at least absolute quality centre half. I mean, I think last season, I know he came in late, but Sierralta was that man who came in and rejuvenated the defence, and I don't think it will do any harm for that. But what's really promising is that we spent the first half of this video not mentioning Sierralta's name, and it was a given that it would be Cavasele and Troost at the back. So if they can carry on those performances, what you're going to get from Craig Cathcart, Matty Pollock as well. We've got who we haven't really seen yet. Hopefully we'll see him midweek. And hopefully it's going to be we've got enough depth in there already. But as I say, it's it won't do us any harm. But I mean, it's an exciting time to be a Watford fan at the moment, and depth in the team. I think something that people were worried about was we had a lot of depth. People saw, we had a 35-man squad at one point, and people were worried that there just wasn't enough quality in there. But I think people are starting to feel a bit more confident now after that Villa win. And yeah, it is an exciting time to be a Watford fan.
That comment actually really did put a smile on my face because, of course, it is only one game, and we really do want to reiterate that. Look, if we lose on Saturday, the smile certainly would be off my face. But Sam, there's an element of optimism now within the Watford fan base. We've been clever with our business. We're seeing players get an opportunity, and it's just freshened up a little bit. Is that how you're seeing it? It just feels fresh watching Watford at the moment. It's different to what we've seen before.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's where the Pozzos have done really, really well in their time. I mean, they've been criticised having this massive overhaul of players every year. I remember when we got promoted last time in 14-15, the starting lineup on the first day of the season was completely different to the team that got promoted, and we got criticised for that. But ultimately it worked. And I feel like an area, that ultimately was Javi Gracia's downfall was that the team it got a bit stale, I think is the best way of saying it. It was the same thing every week. We knew what we were going to get in terms of the formation and the starting team. And I think it's good that we're freshening it up now. And, while it's good that because opposition fans won't know what we're going to expect, I think it keeps the players in training on their toes as well. So certainly it's a fresh looking Watford side. It's a likeable Watford side from what we've seen so far as well, and it's an exciting season ahead.
Absolutely. Shano, just wrapping up on some of the transfer news, bit of a bumper episode for us today. There's been a lot of transfer activity going on. Obviously, Ozan Tufan joining from Fenerbahce. Really looking forward to seeing him in a Watford shirt. I saw one comment actually about whether he's going to be registered for Saturday's game against Brighton. From what well, it's pretty much a guess really, but I'd imagine he won't be involved for Saturday's game. But I think Sam makes a good point that he probably will feature at least on the bench against Crystal Palace, if not Spurs next week. So definitely want to keep an eye on, but I think it'd be very unlikely to see him feature against Brighton on Saturday. Someone did liken it to Juraj Kucka, but Juraj obviously did play in the Palace pre-season friendly, and he was here for a week up until that game, although he probably wasn't expected to play. So a little bit of a different situation in that respect. Shano, I just wanted to get your thoughts on some outgoings, some links we've seen. Andre Gray's been linked with a move to Middlesbrough and QPR. Just need to get that one sorted, do we? We probably need to sort a few outgoings quite quickly. Yeah,
it was very interesting. I think is the word I'll use on this stream. That we got rid of Paritza at halftime. Well, announced the departure of Paritza at halftime in the Villa game. I wasn't expecting that. I didn't even know it happened, if I'm honest with you, until after the match. So that was good. Andre, look, I think he knows that his time's kind of done. I think he's always been in the mood of just trying to find his next move, and if that's where they are, then the best of luck to him. Really, I hope he goes off there, and I hope he shines really, because we know the quality he's got. He showed it for us. It's just not been enough for me. And I think the other bit of news today is about access. I think I saw it from Ray just before we went on air. It's rumoured that Udinese are going to actually complete a deal for him. Again, Isaac, it's very much a case of a lot of potential. Had the quality, just didn't really show it. And I just don't think it was a failure to ignite, I think, for both Andre Gray and for Isaac's success. Steve Hay, you may feel as though potentially he was a little bit hard done by with injuries and all that, but the guys didn't really cut the mustard. And I'm actually kind of glad the fact that they are moving on. I hope they go off and do very well at their new respective clubs. But with all the good news that we've got coming into the club and new incomings and all that stuff, it's time for some of those players to kind of leave. And Mark Navarro, I think, is the other one. I'm not seeing too much on him. I know he's someone that was rumored to be leaving. Not seeing too much about him, but it's a step in the right direction. The squad is kind of slimming itself slightly. And it's becoming quite clear now who the main starters are. Who are we going to see on the bench? For example, we saw Troy, we saw Ashley Fletcher sitting on the bench on Saturday. There you go. Those guys are going to be the go-to guys off the bench potentially. If we want to change things up, formation tweaks, whatever we want to do there. Listen, I think it's very positive for all three of those players. A chance for them to start a new chapter in their lives and hopefully going on to better things. Because to be honest, they failed to they failed to live up to the hype when they came to Watford Football Club.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's a really fair point, Shano. Look, all we want to we have to move these players on. We also think it'd be the best for them to move on as well. Look, success needs to reignite that potential. Andre Gray needs to kind of restart his career. It hasn't worked at Watford. I think that's almost a fact. And Steve Paperitza, injury prone. Mark Navarro hasn't played a lot of football. Look, these guys need to go elsewhere from Watford and kind of reignite their careers. Sam, I know you didn't want to talk about it. I know you don't want to talk about him. James Hughes. Look, it is rumbling on every show, but we do have to discuss it as Watford on a Watford fan channel. Look, Crystal Palace have put on the table a £5 million bid for Will Hughes, and that's kind of been turned away from Watford. There's been no, according to Adam Leventhal, there's been no second offer from Crystal Palace. Has gone a bit quiet on that front. What's your prediction for the way this is going to pan out, Sam? That's probably the big question I have for you.
I've got, do you know what my gut feeling is that it's going to be a club on deadline day who'll come in needing a central midfielder who'll be able to table a relatively low offer, higher than 5 million, and they'll take Will Hughes on deadline day. But I don't get why we didn't really take it, because there's clearly not been too many takers for Will Hughes this summer, and it's definitely either taking 5 million now or letting him play in the under-23s and letting him go for free next summer. So I thought it was a bit strange that we didn't accept it. Perhaps it's because it's a relegation rival. hopefully we won't be in there, but it's a club who most probably will be in a similar area of the league to us. Would rather let him go for free than strengthen Crystal Palace. So I can understand it. I actually thought it was a bit strange, but yeah, I suppose it'll go on deadline day, I think.
Shano?
You know, my thoughts on this is just an exact echo of Sam's face when you mentioned the topic, to be honest with you. Like, I get why we didn't sell him to Crystal Palace. We are in effect selling to a rival and all that, and I just want it to go away, to be honest with you. Like, it's getting to that stage now. I think it might be a bit like if anyone on here has played FIFA career mode, a player wants to leave, you don't do anything about it, it just sits there then on the last day, and at the transfer window, the board will send you an email to say that we have sanctioned the move for this player for like a very low amount of money. Good, he's kind of gone. I don't mean to be as blasé about that with Will Hughes. The interest clearly hasn't been there, you know, and I don't know what's going to happen. I don't even know if it's going to go down to deadline. I think a Capoue situation will happen in which he doesn't get a move in the summer. He comes back with the squad in January, and I think he ends up going off somewhere in January because I just can't see where the interest is coming from. Crystal Palace showed interest. They put a $5 million take it or leave it, which was just extraordinary. The wording around. And, you know, we've kind of rejected it. Villa and Newcastle were interested, offers are in. It's all a bit of a mess. Chalobah, again, he put out a great tweet, you know, talking about his brother, shaking off the sickness. Again, how much do we read into that? Is he actually sick? We don't know. It's all, again, I've said it before. I said it to fans on Saturday, but, you know, and the fans that I did see, it's just becoming an unwelcome distraction. And I don't really like it. It's a bit like sitting in like, I don't know, a pub somewhere, right? And you notice that there's this smell coming from like the toilets or something. It doesn't affect you at first, right? But the longer you sit there, the longer you think about it, after a while you start to smell it and you think, you know what, this is really getting on my nerves now. I want to move. I move on. And I know that was a very long enough, and people will probably think, what are you talking about? But it's just, I'm really bored of it. Like the minute I saw Sam's face when you mentioned that, I was just like, yeah, I feel the same way now. Please, if we're gonna do something, do it and just announce it so I can move on. Like it's no disrespect to Will Hughes, he's been a great player for us, but there comes a point whereby you're taking the mickey a little bit, and I'm just not really in the market for that at the moment.
Yeah. It does feel like the signing of Ozan Tufan is kind of the final nail in the coffin in the Will Hughes situation. Yeah. But we'll just have to see how it pans out. I mean, you know, look, from my perspective, I'm pretty sure when Will Hughes decided to decide, well, and his representatives decided they wanted to move away from Watford Football Club, I don't think it would have been to a team like Crystal Palace. And no disrespect to Crystal Palace, but I don't think when he had in his mind that he would want to be leaving Vicarage Road to join a team also in a similar situation. Look, this is a guy who's been linked with the move to Tottenham.
You say that. That, Jacob, as well. I feel like if there is a move, I think it will be to the Championship for him. I could just see him going to.
I think it's
Fulham. I could see him going to Fulham. I could see him going to, I don't know, a West Brom sort of team. I just can't see us selling him. I think they'd rather let him stay in the under-23s for a year and let him go on a free than sell him to a Premier League rival. So if a Championship club comes in, I think they'll accept it. But I just can't see him going to another Premier League club.
Yeah,
well, Marcus Silva was a big fan of his, I think, wasn't he? I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I'm pretty sure Marcus Silva was a big fan of him. So.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. I think it's definitely one to watch with Fulham. And even Chalobah, actually. I don't know whether I always thought Chalobah was more likely to stay, but both of those with Marco Silva players that were brought in, and he's both big admirers of both of those players. And look, those players wouldn't have to relocate either. So that's definitely one to look out for. We're going to end a more positive chat to wrap up today, Sam, and that is PZ7, who seems to be absolutely ripping it up at Nottingham Forest. Look, Nottingham Forest have had a really difficult start to the season. I think they've lost all 3 games. And you're going to be saying, well, Philip Zinkenagel ripping it up and they've lost 3. But Philip has got 2 assists in the cup. He scored the other day as well. He seems to be loving it there. And Sam, look, he's gaining a bit of form, especially when we might have to recall him in December, January for the African Cup of Nations period.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really good thing. I feel like that's the main reason for the move for him, just to build up a bit of confidence. Obviously, we've referenced that there's a good chance, I reckon, Saul will move on next summer if he has a good season and stays injury-free. And perhaps Zinchenko is someone who can fill in, hopefully, that role on the right-hand side, even though he's not as quick. Beautiful goal last night from him. Perhaps goalkeeper could have done a bit better, but that's what happens when you play him in his strongest position. So it's certainly an option to bring him back in January when we'll need as many players as possible on board while we have certain players out in the African Cup of Nations. And yeah, really good to see him doing well.
Yeah, well said. I'll tell you what, lads, we've hit the hour mark, so we're going to wrap it up with some predictions. Shano, predictions for Saturday?
Well, I just want to remind everyone on the chat and to both of you guys that I am ahead in the prediction sweepstake because I did predict a win. So up yours with that one. Thank you.
What's that?
Can
you hear me all right, Jacob? Oh, yeah.
The predictions.
Yeah. Sorry, no. I was just thinking about my prediction.
No.
I'm going to go with, I'm very positive. God. Oh, you hear me?
I'm going to go with, for next week, for Saturday, I'm going to go 1-0 Watford, Saul to score.
Go on, Shane, over Saturday.
3-1 Watford. Come on, you Horns. I'm confident. I really am. I really am confident. I think it'd be similar to like the Villa game in respect of I think we'll take an early lead. I think Brighton might peg us back, but I think if it goes away, that I think we've been speaking Kuno maybe coming off the bench. I think he might add that little bit of spark to our front line. I'm going to back Sar to score another. I think Shell will score. I don't know who'll get the third goal. I have no idea. That's just no clue whatsoever. But I think it'll be a very positive attack-minded performance from Watford. Yeah.
Very positive predictions. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go for I'm going to go 2-1 away, as Joe says. I'm confident as the lads are as well. I think we can get something on the road. But look, just being realistic, and no one wants to be realistic. But if you said to me, would you take a point, a 0-0 draw, I probably would take a point. Look, it would still be down to Brighton. It would be to see a goalless draw. But look, it's an away day. It'd be another point on the board. And actually, Sam, just finally on that, look, if you said to us before the start of the season we could get 4 points out of the first two, you would have been buzzing with that. So
yeah, definitely.
A point and above, obviously, is the aim, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, particularly next week as well. I hate this term, but we have to view Tottenham away as a sort of free hit as well against the I don't want to call them the big six anymore because a couple of those teams don't deserve to be in there. Let's call them the rich six for now. But we'll have to view it as a free hit. Buzzing for that one as well, by the way. But let's just focus on Brighton, and 100% I'd take a point if you offered it to me now.
Sam, Shane, it's been an absolute pleasure. Really enjoyed that today. A lot of stuff we got through. Obviously, Brighton on Saturday, some transfer chat, predicted lineup, all that sort of thing. If you're watching this back, please do leave a like on the video. Thank you to everyone who joined us today live in the live chat. You guys seem to absolutely love the comments, and we always love to read your comments too. As Caroline says, please leave a like on the video if you enjoy it. Massively helps us out and pushes the video. And Anthony, keep the momentum going. Fingers crossed we can do that on Saturday. Thank you very much for watching, guys. We'll be back on Saturday for a match day experience, the first one of the season. Myself, I'll be meeting Sam there. We've got a few guys we're going to be meeting there as well for a really, really exciting away day. At Amex, big game. Thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, guys. See you on the weekend. Up the Hornets.
Up the Hornets.